Okay, I'd now like to introduce Gerry Georgatos. Let's give it up for Gerry.
I pay my respect to the Whadjuk land that we stand on and to all Noongar peoples of Perth in the southwest of Western Australia. I pay my respect to all of you. I live with Parkinson's disease and I no longer speak as freely as I once did, so I'm going to read a little bit from this and then go free form. WikiLeaks continues as one of the world's most remarkable organisations, despite numerous attempts to shut it down. Its founder is a political prisoner. Julian Assange, jailed in London's Belmarsh prison, faces extradition to the US on charges of espionage. Assange has not murdered anyone, but he's hounded as if he has. WikiLeaks exposed the killers and their keepers from the July 12, 2007 Baghdad airstrikes, in which air-to-ground attacks deploying US Apache helicopters killed innocent civilians and journalists. 3 years on from this horrific incident, the world was availed to its inherent right to know. When WikiLeaks released 39 minutes of classified footage of the slaughter of 18 innocents, it is said that no lie lives forever, but it is not my general experience that truth prevails. The tenet of a sane society should be no lie so grand it can be got away with. Haiti is the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere, with more than 80% of the Haitian population living in abject poverty. Life expectancy of Haitian people is in their 50s. In November 2010, WikiLeaks released 1,918 documents from 2003 to 2010, cables to the White House and back to the US consulate in Haiti. The cables were among the most disturbing I read of files published by WikiLeaks in how the USA controlled policy making in impoverished Haiti. Haiti's minimum wage for textile workers was 24 cents an hour. Its president went for an increase to 61 cents, a 37-cent increase per hour. Instead, the US-backed exploitative major brand American manufacturers put profit margins on the back of Haitian slave wages. The two manufacturers lobbied Washington to harass Haitians to help keep down the wage rise to an additional 7 cents an hour only. Of course, Washington won. Of the American companies, one of the American companies was paying 3,200 Haitians $2 a day to sew T-shirts. $4 billion in annual turnover with declared profits of $220 million. The increase in wages from $2 to $5 a day would have cost the company only $1.5 million from their declared $220 million profit. WikiLeaks' offence to the powerful is to expose their crimes, brutality, inhumanity, slaughter of human life, narratives contrived to bring on civil strife, human suffering and misery, and climates of death. WikiLeaks published Iraqi war logs, revealing thousands of reports of the most abominable, degrading, injurious abuse and torture by Iraqi security forces and their mentors, the American personnel, from various instruments of state. America sold anger as the excuse, so now anger, hate, inhumanity became permissible. Prisoners were hung from ceiling hooks, holes in their legs with electric drills. They were sexually abused, urinated upon, relentlessly bashed. WikiLeaks revealed the George Bush administration Frago 242 order. In 2004, the Frago directive instructed no allegations of abuse were to be investigated. 10 years earlier, the US signed the UN Convention Against Torture. The George Bush administration publicly insisted there were no official counts of Afghan and Iraqi casualties. WikiLeaks published the war logs, which exposed between 2004 and 2009 that 70% of deaths were of civilians. 70% of deaths in the Ukraine is now a war crime. 70% of deaths in the Middle East is not a war crime. The Barack Obama administration imprisoned more whistleblowers and dissenters than all previous Washington administrations combined. There is an endlessness of laws made by governments to imprison and punish people into silence. There are thousands who are nameless, and the majority of them are in the United States prisons. In the United States, where 1 in 4 of all the world's prisoners are incarcerated. 1 in 4 of all the world's prisoners are incarcerated in the mother of all jailer, the United States of America. Stands by Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and by Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden must be realised as truly heroic. Julian Assange once said to me, he has been through a lot, and he's used to being through a lot. When he said that to me, I don't expect that he ever expected that he'd go through so much. All his 40s, 12 years in total, but all his 40s, he's been contained. He's been in prison, and he's been a prisoner of his own mind too, because it takes a toll. It takes a toll. It should matter to all of us that others matter. It should matter to all of us, rights issues, human rights, social justice, all of it. Because all of us who live in privilege, and all of us here are the 1%ers, the 2%ers, the 5%ers, the 10%ers. As others sacrifice for us to have what little we have today and what rights we do have, we have an obligation to them to fight on behalf of all others that don't have those rights. I remind that 8 out of 10 people on this planet, in our global village, throughout this world, 8 out of 10 live on less than $10 a day. 5 out of 10, or 1 in 2, live on less than $5.50 a day. 1 in 4 live on less than $1.90 a day. We are the 1%ers, the 2%ers, the 5%ers, the 10%ers. We have an obligation to the rest of our humanity to rise, to stand up. As Julian Assange stood up, as WikiLeaks stands up, as Edward Snowden stands up, as Chelsea Manning stood up. So we must stand up. If you expect government, if you expect political parties to deliver arbitration, to deliver the ways forward, you will be betrayed. They are all indoctrinated to their meanderings, to remits that don't allow them to do what needs to be done. Only community reckoning can mobilise the education and the cultural shift. Till Forest Chase, Flinders in Melbourne, Martin Place in Sydney, to all the hubs of every major city, town, and wherever else in this country and around the world, till they're filled with tens of thousands on every occasion. There's a rally, there's a protest, and you attend every single rally and protest, because it is your duty to do that, as others did and sacrificed for you. Some were incarcerated, of those who came before us and we never knew of. Some were ostracised, some went without employment. I'm part of the class action against Banksia Hill. I've sued the state government 3 times on class actions. Banksia Hill, our most vulnerable children are there. There are sacrifices I'm paying in work that I can't get to work in restorative work. My family suffers, but these are the sacrifices we must make, because it matters what we do for each other. And the only way to rights outcomes and arbitration, the only way to a fairer, we'll never get a perfect world, but a kinder, gentler, fairer world is to stand up. So attend every single rally, attend every social justice, injustice, attend every single one and mobilise. Because if we do not attend, we will go nowhere fast, and all that is waiting for us is an abyss. And do not say that my job comes before justice or the injustice of another. Do not say that my studies come before the injustice of another. Attend no matter what, as those who went before us did. I give you all my respect and love, and I hope that we can all gather in numbers that matter. Because when enough rise, change happens.